Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So another month of TrainerRoad completed. And in this video, I'm going to take you through how following the TrainerRoad plan really put me on the edge of overtraining. But first, let's jump straight into where we left off in the last video. So I got an FTP last month of 302 watts, and that was based off two 8-minute max intervals averaged out, and then I did the formula to work out the FTP from that. So for those of you who are new to the channel, this is all in my quest to reach 4 watts per kilogram. It's going to take a long time, but hopefully these monthly videos will keep me accountable. Following that FTP test, there are actually 2 weeks of recovery. Initially, there was only 1 week of recovery, but as you go through the plan, TrainerRoad adjusts it. So for some reason, it figured out that I must have needed more recovery than I did. I definitely backed off the bike a bit, but I didn't actually stop doing exercise altogether, really. I did some big hikes, which were good fun. It's nice to get out and do something different, but my TSS was definitely a lot lower than it was in the previous weeks. This block introduced some threshold work, so under overs, and some VO2 max workouts as well. This was quite cool because at no point in the plan had I ever been told to go above my FTP. I was really only doing sweet spot and base work. So what I assume is that the previous months were just building a base so that these productive workouts would come and I can do them very well. I had big plans to do these workouts outside, especially the hard ones, but my bike had other ideas. Unfortunately, I ended up breaking a spoke on my rear wheel, so I had to get that sorted out. I actually now have 2 rear wheels out of commission, which is very annoying. Anyway, I do actually have another bike, but it's a mountain bike, so it doesn't have a power meter, meaning it's not very useful for these outdoor structured workouts. I did use it for the Zone 2 and the easy rides, because I can just do those based off heart rate. So enough of my first world problems, I just sucked it up and did all the workouts inside for like a week. First one was on Monday. This was threshold under overs, and this was really difficult for me. The overs were 317 watts and the unders were 287, and those numbers proved to be a bit too hard for me. I did the first over, and after that my legs were already jelly. I needed to recover at much lower wattage than it suggested, which was quite annoying because it was in the ERG mode. So yeah, that wasn't great. The rest of the workout, I did manage to just about squeeze out the overs, but all of the unders I was really struggling in. I definitely couldn't hit 287 watts for that. So time for some excuses. I think there were some reasons for that. Mostly it was due to being inside, I reckon. My indoor setup is all right, but my cooling really isn't perfect. I could do with some more fans and some more powerful fans, really. Also, from what I've read online, it's easier to put power out when you're on the bike rather than on the trainer, mainly due to like the cooling being better and the fact that you can use your whole body rather than just your legs. Like the swaying of the bike and stuff like that will help give you a little bit more power. So yeah, maybe I should have just lowered the intensity of the workout a little bit, but I didn't do that. I just kept it at 100% and struggled through. Okay, on to Tuesday's workout. This one was VO2 max efforts, and to be honest, this one was, well, I'm not gonna say easy, but it was manageable. Again, this was the first time I'd done one of these during this training plan. I was feeling okay from the day before, but to be honest, this session was pretty comfortable for me. It was 5 times 30 seconds at about 350 watts, with 20 seconds of rest in between, and then you repeat this 6 times. Obviously, I felt the burn in each of the intervals, but at no point did I really struggle and think I'm not going to make it to the end of this. So from the first 2 workouts of this new block, I feel like I'm definitely better at doing big efforts for a short amount of time rather than hard efforts for longer, if that makes sense. On to Wednesday, this was an endurance ride for 1 hour, but I skipped that and went hiking instead. Whether or not a 4-hour hike equals a 1-hour bike ride, I will never know. Thursday was sweet spot work, which I'm pretty used to by now. It was 9 minutes at 265 watts, repeated 5 times. So I managed to complete this with no problem. I answered the TrainerRoad survey saying it was hard, but to be honest, I think that was due to the rubbish film I was watching. The rest of the week was just endurance rides. Normally I choose to take all the small endurance rides it gives you and then put them together to make one big ride because that's just easier to manage. So I don't know if that makes a difference training wise, but if it does or if it doesn't, let me know down in the comments. So that was the first week done. Moving on to week 2. So the next week had the same workouts, but I adjusted when they were happening during the week because I wanted to save the harder workouts for when my new rear wheel would arrive. So Monday was VO2 work, and this was again pretty comfortable. It was the exact same workout as the week before, except with 1 more interval in the warm-up. So I felt good going into it, and halfway through I pushed the difficulty up to 105%. This made it a bit more challenging, but still, to be honest, at the end I felt good. Tuesday was an easy endurance ride, 175 watts for an hour, easy, nothing interesting to report there. Right, so Wednesday is when it starts to get interesting. So Wednesday was supposed to be long sweet spot intervals. The first interval was 23 minutes at 230 watts. And this was actually really difficult for me. It really shouldn't have been difficult because it's quite low wattage numbers, but it really was. My legs were just feeling like jelly throughout that whole interval. I did just about manage to finish the first interval, but I was struggling by the end. And then when the next one came, which was 265 watts, I did that for a minute and I was just absolutely done. I actually had to quit that workout, which was annoying, but sometimes you just don't have it in you. So I had to think about why I was feeling this way, and at first I thought there was no reason for it because the previous day I'd only be doing an hour on a really easy low zone 2 wattage, and my legs shouldn't really be tired from that. Then I had a bit of a think about what else was going on. I am obviously quite a big guy, and as part of this challenge to get to 4 watts per kilogram, I'm trying to lose weight. So obviously I have to cut down calories somewhere. And for the previous few nights, in the evening meal, I had only been eating meat and vegetables without any carbohydrates. And to be honest, I think that's why I was feeling so rubbish. So my theory is that I just hadn't been eating enough really to fuel the training that I'd been doing. The morning of the failed workout, I did actually have quite a big breakfast, you know, oats and fruit and the good stuff like that, but I don't think it gets into your body quickly enough to be able to fuel you. That's just my theory. I don't know if it's actually accurate at all. So my Garmin watch measures the amount of stress my body's going through. So after that failed workout, throughout the whole day, my stress level didn't return to normal at all. So up on the screen now is what the stress looked like for that day. As you can see, it's sort of just like flat throughout the whole day. And this one is how it normally reacts after a hard workout. As you can see, the average stress tends to decline during the day, but for some reason, on this day, it just didn't decline at all. And this is after a really easy 30 minutes on the bike. Like the one on the right-hand side is a really hard workout, and you can see my stress declines much quicker there than it did on the easy workout. So that doesn't really make much sense. So you can tell something isn't quite right here, and I'm just not recovering the way I should be. So that was Wednesday. Let's move on to Thursday. So to be honest, on Thursday, I felt absolutely terrible. I had one of the worst nights of sleep I've had in a long time. I only ran like 4 or 5 hours, and there's no real reason for that. Like, I went to bed at the same time I normally do. It was the same environment, but I just could not sleep. I felt terrible. My heart rate variability was really low, and my watch just said I was about to fall apart, basically. It said my training readiness for Thursday was 1, which is out of 100, so not good at all. Thursday's plan was only a 1-hour endurance ride, but I decided to skip that just because I did not feel up for it. I felt like if I were to do that ride, I would just dig myself into an even bigger hole of feeling terrible. So I took the day completely off, just rested up, made sure I ate well, I made sure I ate a lot of carbs, and hopefully that would actually allow me to recover before Friday's workout. So I think this is one of the most important things about following a training plan from TrainerRoad or from anywhere really. So you need to be able to read how your body is feeling and be willing to make changes depending on how your body is coping with the training load. So I was obviously walking down the path of overtraining, and I had to stop really to make sure that I didn't like fall into the chasm completely. I know that if I had carried on and just followed the training plan mindlessly, I would have just ended up digging myself into a deeper and deeper hole of overtraining. However, taking the day off actually just allowed me to recover fully from the workouts before. Maybe if I'd been eating properly and actually taking in the amount of calories and carbs that I needed, I wouldn't have felt so overtrained, but that's something I need to try and figure out over time, how I can adjust my eating so that I feel fueled and I can lose weight at the same time. So enough of that, back to normal. After my day off from Thursday, I got back to it on Friday, and by this time my new wheel had arrived and I was going to do the final workout of the week outside. So TrainerRoad's workout for Friday was 4 sets of 6-minute over-under intervals. So that totals 24 minutes of work. So I decided to change it to 10-minute sets times 3, so 30 minutes. And that's only because I was doing it outside and the local climb is about 10 minutes long. If I did the 6-minute intervals, I would have had to get halfway up the hill and then I would have turned around, which is just a bit annoying. So the 10-minute intervals were pretty perfect because it means I get to the top of the hill just when they're ending. So was I actually recovered? How did this session go, you may ask? I actually felt really quite good during this one. I managed to hit all the power numbers. This may be because I was doing it outside rather than indoors on the trainer, but I also felt so much better than I was the day before. Obviously, riding outside is much nicer, it's more fun, and the cooling is a lot better. Oh yeah, that's another thing to mention. The weather here has now gone from being like 30 degrees every day to being like 20. So hopefully that'll let me train harder as well, because it's not actually blisteringly hot every day. So taking that one day off definitely gave my body a chance to recover and get back into normality. Obviously, I need to focus on what I'm eating and try and time it right. I need to make sure I'm eating carbs before a big workout, basically. Even the night before a big workout is key. So I'm going to try to figure out how to do that, because at the moment I'm not really sure where I can cut out the calories and not have it affect my training. So if any of you are wise in the ways of nutrition, let me know how the best way to do that is down below. So the main thing I'm going to take from this is that if you have a training plan, it is definitely important to not blindly follow it. It's definitely important to be able to adapt it based on how you're feeling, because you want to be able to follow it for a long time. If you followed it blindly and managed to hit all the workouts but ended up feeling burnt out, then it's not going to be doable for the long term. All right, that's it for this video. There is some news just before we end. I have signed up for a race. I am very excited for this. It's actually in 2 weeks. It's not a race as such, more like a Grand Fondo. But anyway, it's the first time I've ever signed up for like a group ride like this. So it should be quite fun. 2 weeks is when it begins. So what I've done is I've put that into my TrainerRoad calendar as an A event. And now it has set me up for 2 weeks of preparation for that. Anyway, if you're keen to see that, then be sure to like and subscribe, and I will hit you up with the YouTube goodness in the next video. All right, peace out.